What's up, everyone? Welcome to Kill the Clock. I'm Shahin, and I'm here with our fearless leader, Ravneet Singh, and some guy we found off the street, Zaid. What's up?
Hey, what's
What's
up,
up,
man?
guys?
So, Rav, yeah, man, let's get started. What do you want to talk about today? We're just depressed Kings fans, so I mean, we'll give you the most optimistic outlook for our team, which they'll definitely not come through with.
Yeah, that's why I wanted you guys on. You guys know a lot about the Kings, so I was just, well, I mean, what do you guys think about Boogie's performance in the Olympics to start with?
Thought it was dominant. Guy was getting rebounds for the team, looking like a superstar. Hopefully he does the same for the Sacramento Kings this year.
I mean, didn't he get into foul trouble a lot?
He did initially. I think one game he did foul out with like 7, 8 minutes left in the fourth, but they still ended up winning that game.
That's how you're going to start talking about his performance in the Olympics?
Yeah, man, it was noteworthy. I mean, I get a notification on my phone. I'm not really watching these games because they're all blowouts, but I mean, Boogie's fouling out with like 10 minutes left in the game or something. That's crazy.
That wasn't initially. I think his foul. He controlled his fouls later on, but they still liked DJ and the games in the Olympics instead of Cousins, just because of defensive reasons.
Yikes. So wait, are you saying DJ was, from what you've seen, what you saw, was he considerably better defensively? Because that's kind of concerning.
I wouldn't say considerably better, but he was. Both players struggled in the pick and roll. Just overall, the U.S. looked lost on defense guarding the pick and roll, but Jabin was probably better just guarding in the post overall. I mean, you would expect that from a shot blocker, and Cousins isn't really known to be a shot blocker.
DJ's making me look bad,
Yeah,
man.
Cousins was playing well with Kyle Lowry. He did a little, since Kyle Lowry plays a little bit better defense than Kyrie. Kyrie plays better with DJ. That's just what I saw during the games I watched.
Yeah, it seemed like the Cousins just fit well with the second unit, like you said, with Kyle and Jimmy Butler. So I think they had some good good like perimeter defenders on the second unit. So Cousins was just asked to score in the post, which he was able to do pretty easily.
All right, man. I'm gonna call Vladi. I'm gonna tell him to trade for Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Overall, you have to be happy with Cousins' performance, and do you guys think it was good having him around these other like all-stars?
Absolutely.
It's good networking. Maybe he can bring one of them to the Kings next year.
Aren't you scared though that he himself could go and join another team?
Oh gosh, can I? All right, let me give my opinion about that. I'm actually a little frightened. I peruse Twitter every now and then, and during their time with the team, I'm noticing Draymond Green is like really buddy with him, and we know what happened obviously with Draymond recruiting going really well this summer. So I'm a little frightened that he could go to the Warriors when his contract runs out, which man, I don't know if I could handle that, man.
Would they be able to afford him?
No, that's what I was just gonna say. They really,
Oh really?
they,
Okay, good.
yeah, they really can't. But at the same time, there's other teams that could probably afford. Yeah, and he built other connections at the Olympics, so maybe he goes to the Bulls with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of this. I really think Cousins is really loyal. He's all about loyalty. That's really like his number one like characteristic. Like if anyone's not against him, like George Karl, if someone's gonna be a snake, he gets irate. And I just think this guy is gonna try to stay with his team as long as possible. We're the team that gave him gave him the opportunity to play for us when we drafted him. When a lot of teams could have got him, but hopefully I don't know. There's always a chance he could leave.
Zaid, you're sounding too optimistic, man. He's definitely
yeah,
leaving. He's definitely. I'm gonna say it right
it's
now.
I don't know, man.
September 1st, 2016 podcast. He is leaving in a couple of years. There's no way. He's too much of a competitor. Too much of. He's way too competitive to want to stay with this team. Although I will say this, I did listen to Bill Simmons' podcast with Jimmy Butler, which happened like months ago, but I listened to it a couple days ago. Really good podcast. Jimmy says that that's his guy, and so they seem to really like each other. But Jimmy also says that DeMarcus Cousins does not care about what people think of him, and he will do unpopular things, and it would be perceived as unpopular if he were to stay at Sacramento. But to Jimmy, according to Jimmy, DeMarcus doesn't care about that. So it seems like DeMarcus is the type of guy who would it wouldn't surprise me if he sticks with us, because it would be the unpopular thing to do, and he doesn't really care about what people think. He wouldn't pull a KD. That's optimistic, but that's based off what I was getting from Jimmy Butler and his personality.
yeah, and every indication from Cousins himself is that he doesn't want to get traded. That he's all about that he's going to resign with the Kings in 2 years. But at the same time, how can you not be frustrated this organization, and with all the coaching turnovers? I mean, it seems like for any other star player, it's just hard to see that player stick it out through what Cousins has had to so far.
Right.
So I mean, I just don't. If I had to guess right now, I don't. I think he stays because of loyalty, but at the same time, if I'm Sacramento, I'm looking to kind of like see what the market is there for him. And I mean, I read a rumor today that the Wizards were willing to part with Bradley Beal as the main piece to trade for Cousins so that they could reunite John Wall
No,
and,
I
and
don't.
Cousins.
I don't want that deal. That's.
I wouldn't look twice at it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to be a lot more than just that. But I mean, if you're Sacramento and you're not sure, I mean, you could get Beal for a longer period of time. Then you would have to at least think about it.
Beal's too angry.
It'd probably be the same amount of time with all his injuries.
That's a good point.
Might play the same amount in 2 years as Cousins over a span of 5. Like with the rate his injuries are piling up. I'm not like against Bradley Beal, but like as a player, he's a decent young player, but he's a little overrated in my opinion too. So.
I don't see the Kings trading Cousins just because we're not going to get good value for him, number one, and number two, we're going to rebuild again. This is another 5 years at least, and I don't know if Vlade and Vivek want that at all. I think they're just going to ride him out, and even if it seems like he's leaving, they're just going to try hella hard to keep him and just try to talk to him to make him stay. And I just think this guy's going to be with us for a while. I know it's optimistic, but this is just from his character and his personality.
Yeah, there was an article I was looking at the sports. It was on a sports blog, and they basically said that NBA executives expect Cousins to leave Sacramento. So,
Yikes.
I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say.
What are they getting that from? Like what's their?
Oh, no, they actually asked NBA executives their opinions, and I don't know, but they didn't say which ones, but they do expect Cousins to leave after this contract.
2 years is a lot of time.
The thing is, if the Kings make the playoffs within 2 years, then it changes everything. But do you guys expect Sacramento to make the playoffs in this year or next year?
Oh boy. Well, I guess we could go right into that, or maybe save that for the end.
Yeah, I mean, I guess quick answer, yes or no. Would you think they were going to make the playoffs?
No, man. I mean, part of the reason why I think Cousins will leave is because I don't see him winning here, just based off what we have at the moment. Although I am optimistic about Dave Yeager, and we'll get to that later, obviously. But with the way the West looks, there's a lot of competition, and I will agree though. If we were to just make the 8th seed one of these next 2 years, he will stay. That's all we need. It's not that much when you think about it, but I mean, it all depends on whether Jaeger could put it together.
It's still tough. I mean, I'm counting 8 teams already that I think are in the playoffs: Warriors, Spurs, Clippers, Blazers, Mavs, Memphis, Houston, Utah. And I still, you got New Orleans, Minnesota. I mean, I don't know where to put the Kings.
10th, 11th.
Yeah, I would say about that 10th, 11th spot.
It's too tough in the West. There's too many good teams.
I think some of those teams are going to get worse, though. I mean, I don't think OKC's going to be as obviously. I didn't
even put OKC in there.
I mean,
they could still make the playoffs, but I was just being
right.
I actually think OKC has a pretty good chance to make the playoffs. I mean, they're probably better than the Kings at this point now.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't fight that too much. I just think they're not going to be as good as people think, especially if they plan on trotting out Enes Kanter a bunch. Defensively, they're going to leak a bunch of points, and I mean, Westbrook's going to come through with amazing statistical performances this season, but I don't know if they'll get 50 wins.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, OKC is clearly a team that got worse because they lost Durant, but if you look at almost any other team in the West, I think all of them got better pretty much, either through the youth getting more experience or through signings or through the draft. It seems like almost every team got better.
What about Portland, who seemingly unchanged? I mean, who did they let go? I mean, they got Evan Turner for a bunch of money, but did they let anyone go?
I can't. I mean, they got Festus and they kept Crab.
Oh, okay, they got better. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, even the Lakers with Luol Deng and Ingram, they're not going to be. They're still going to be one of the worst teams, and I expect the Kings to be better than them. But I mean, even they got better. So I just think every team is going to be good. Like even the Pelicans, right? They're going to be healthy now with healthy Anthony Davis. So it's just super competitive in the West, and I think it's just bad timing for the Kings right now.
Yeah.
We have to put our mark defensively to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, what did you guys think about the Ty Lawson signing? I'm curious. That just happened a couple days ago. It seems like there's people who are really against it, and there's people really for it.
I'm gonna say this. I was a little scared in the beginning, but his contract's not guaranteed, according to Woj and everything. And he was good just 2 years ago, and he has the talent. He's just his mind's not in it. Maybe Jaeger can pull it out of him, but I don't think it's a bad signing. I mean, it goes against what Vlade was doing, which is kind of bad. Like trying to get good teammates, good hard-working guys that don't get into trouble a lot. And then he brings in Ty Lawson, who gets 4 DUIs and who beats people up and stuff.
Wait, he beat people up? Who did he beat up?
Didn't Ty Lawson get some domestic violence thing?
I think there was something like that. It was a few. I don't remember when this was, but I do remember this.
Yeah, he had charges against him in a domestic violence case a couple years ago.
Are you?
Yeah,
serious?
in 2013 he did. Yeah.
With his girlfriend.
Are you telling me we have 2 point guards right now who are in domestic violence, have domestic violence issues?
That's the Sacramento Kings for you, my
Sacramento
man.
Kings, baby.
In a nutshell.
Dysfunctional as hell, man. What the hell?
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully he went through some good therapy or something. And I mean, the thing that really is confusing to me is last year Ty Lawson was being, there's rumors of him being traded to the Kings, and but then during draft day he was doing some hookah thing, gets himself on Vine and says I'm gonna be in Sacramento, or I don't want to be in Sacramento. I don't know what he said, but Vlade had a comment on it and he said it was stupid. And then the year later he's gonna sign him. I don't get this.
He was right just a year later.
Yeah. I know it's kind of interesting. It doesn't seem like the Kings prioritize high character guys, and I understand why. They're swinging for the fences here. They want someone who could, Ty Lawson is a lottery ticket in a way. Like, I mean, he has a decently high ceiling compared to the guys that were left in free agency, but he has a really low floor, and he could hurt your culture and your locker room.
Exactly.
I'd like to ask to either of you if you know how much are we paying him? I mean, it's unguaranteed, so how much is it though? Like, is it 1, 2 million? What is it?
I'm not sure if the figures have come out exactly, but I'll double check on that.
Okay. Well, I mean, my opinion of this is exactly the type of signings we need to make. We need to get guys that the league is possibly sleeping on, because we can't really get in a bidding war with anybody. We don't have the factors that other teams and other cities have on their side when it comes to comparing them to Sacramento. Like, a player is not gonna, I mean, Sacramento gives them an offer with 3 other teams. Those 3 other teams most likely are going to be at the over Sacramento on the guys list. That's like hypothetically any free agent. We have to get guys like this who have a decently high ceiling, as Rob mentioned, and take risks like this. I mean, there's no guaranteed money in the deal. I love that. It's a prove-it deal. That's the type of deal in sports that I love, is when the guy has to come in and perform to continue his career. This is a big contract for him. Not big in terms of like financially, but this is a big step for him in his career. If he could hit on this contract and have a good season with us, it'll bring a bunch of money for him in the future.
Yeah, the figure real quick on that is 1.3 million this year.
Could be a massive bargain, man. If he turns out right. Ty Lawson not that long ago was a pretty decent point guard. So I really wanted someone to come in because Darren Collison's dealing with his domestic violence situation. I'm reading a little bit about Lawson. Those charges were dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have any problems in Indiana as far as locker room, whatever, getting into DUI or anything. He just didn't play as well. But hopefully, over the off season, he got some back his talent. But just like Shahin said, like, he has to play well, or his career's over. And you never know. I mean, Darren Collison probably will get suspended the first 5, 8 games, whatever. Ty Lawson starts, he's going to be playing for his life, and you never know. He ends up starting the rest of the year. I don't know, but anything could happen. I hope he plays well.
It just seems to me like he's lost his confidence more than anything else. I also, you're right, Zaid. I didn't hear about the locker room issues with Indiana or anything after that. So it seems like maybe he's gotten his life together, but on the court he would just kind of like he was able to get to the basket, which he's always able to do, but he just isn't able to finish. He like pump fakes a few times and then passes it out or something. So I'm almost more worried about his confidence more than his locker room presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I only saw a couple games with him at Indiana, and he was relegated to a bench role behind George Hill and really didn't get the chance to do much. And when he was in the game, he didn't seem particularly engaged. And I mean, I remember when his performances with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, if we could get that guy, then this could be one of the signings of the year. Especially because it's unguaranteed and because it's a low amount of money. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a shrewd move by Vlade Divac, all things considered, because, like I said, we can't get the free agents that the fans want us to get. So we have to look outside the box. We have to get guys that could be lottery tickets for us, because that's how teams like us get better.
I just want to make a quick thing. When Shahin said that this could be the best signing of the year, it reminds me of last year when I said Ty Lawson could be the sneaky signing of the summer. Turned out to be one of the worst predictions of all time. Hopefully, he plays well this year, so it'll at least it worked out for the Kings, and not my prediction.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people predicted the Rockets to be better. No, I don't think anyone predicted them to be as bad as they were, and I don't even think you could blame that entirely on Lawson, really. I mean, there was a lot of issues in Houston, but real quick on the Lawson thing before we move on, I wonder if there were other point guards that the Kings could have considered. Like Norris Cole would have been a safer bet. He doesn't have the upside that Lawson does. And the other thing I was going to say is, if Collison does get suspended, and I think that Lawson just needs to have 1 or 2 games where he gets 30+ minutes and finds his rhythm back, because that's what he hasn't gotten. He didn't get that in Indiana at all, so maybe he gets that here and finds his game back.
Yeah, I think he will. We don't have any other point guards.
Is Isaiah going to make the team? Probably not.
Oh, Isaiah Cousins?
Isaiah Cousins. Did I say Isaiah Cannon? My bad.
Yeah. Isaiah Cousins, I think he will make the team. I don't know how many. I don't think he's going to play much, but I think he was an interesting prospect. I think he was a senior, if I'm not mistaken. So he does have experience playing for some time in college.
Real quick, one thing about the optics of this whole situation. Obviously, we know that Darren Collison's dealing with some of his like domestic violence issues, and I think most of the fan base we're like shaking our fist at him because he's not turning out to be a very good human being. But this is good because we're bringing in somebody who could potentially be the starter, and would make us all feel a lot better about Darren Collison being relegated to the bench. We're feeling good about that, right? Like, no one wanted to see Darren Collison starting for us all year because based on what we know, right?
Yeah, I mean, the options that the Kings had at point guard for free agents were pretty bad. I mean, like there's like Steve Blake, Kirk Heinrich, Andre Miller, Jordan Farmar, Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers, who just came back from an ACL injury. I mean, I think
in this market too, we would have had to give Super Mario like $30 million.
Yeah, that guy. I don't know. I mean, I think Ty Lawson. It's not bad, and hopefully he pans out. We'll see.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of options available for sure. So at this point, at this late into the summer, it's kind of you can't really blame the Kings too much for going after this type of player. But I mean, since we talked a little bit about Isaiah Cousins, I mean, do you guys have any thoughts on him or anyone else the Kings drafted in particular?
Oh, the draft.
We got Papa John's Pizza, right? That's what we got.
Oh. Yeah, Georgios Papagiannis.
Oh.
Oh man, that guy's going to be a big time development. In 3 or 4 years, then maybe you can play him.
Yeah, I mean I'm not a big fan of him. I'll just say that. But Shahin, do you have any thoughts on him or Scalabrine?
First of all, when I was watching the draft, I was pretty shocked when that pick came because I didn't know who the hell he was, and I was just screaming at everyone in the room like, "What the hell are we doing?" But it's interesting how the draft turned out because we ended up getting a guy like Scalabrine around the point where, we got Scalabrine at like 27 or something, right?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, and around 13 where we picked Papagiannis was where Labissiere was projected to go, and 27 was where Papagiannis was projected to go, like 22, 27 range, something like that. And then Malachi Richardson was in that range where we picked him. So if you look at it like we picked Scalabrine first, then Richardson, and then Papagiannis with 27. It's really, all things considered, not that bad of a draft when you look at it that way. And I want to commend Vladi for being able to somehow, I don't know how he did this, but he got a first-round pick for Marco Bellinelli. I mean, well done, man.
Yeah.
That was a good trade. But Rob, what were your thoughts on him, Papa John's for Summer League?
So real quick, Scalabus was the 28th pick, and I also heard that the Kings were actually thinking about taking him at 13 if he had actually worked out for the Kings, but because he didn't, Sacramento decided to pass on him.
See, no one works out for the Kings either. No one works out for the Kings. That's so weird.
Wade Baldwin did work out, who went 17th to Memphis, but he was the one guy, I think, in the first round that actually worked out for Sacramento.
Yeah.
So I think that is part of the reason why Vlade chose to pick Papagiannis. But to me, you pick the best player available, not who works out for you. And I talked to a lot of people during Summer League, and no one understood why the Kings chose Papagiannis. He can't guard the pick and roll in the pick and roll league. He doesn't have many post moves. Defensively, he's not really a rim protector, and he's kind of overweight. In Summer League, he was one of the worst. He looked pretty bad. Let me just say this: he looked like he didn't belong. And I know it's Summer League; you can't really put too much into it. But honestly, this guy wasn't a first rounder to me.
Yikes! I need to stop saying yikes. Damn. Dang.
There were just a lot of safer picks that the Kings could have made up. Let me just put it that way. Like Denzel Valentine was a safer pick, Malik Beasley. There were just a lot of safer picks.
Do you think that Papa John's performance in the Summer League could be kind of similar to how Porzingis did the year before? Not saying he's turned into Porzingis or anything, but I'm just saying Porzingis had a very bad Summer League. Kind of looked. I mean, he had some spark here and there, but wasn't that great. Do you think maybe Papa John's will have, it'll take him a year or two, it's not as bad as we saw, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Dean Oliver, who's one of the founders of Basketball Analytics, did a study on this, and he basically found that your performance in Summer League doesn't really translate to your success or non-success in the NBA. So the two examples he pointed out was Porzingis and Karl Anthony Towns. So you're spot on about that, but I'm just forget it from the stats perspective, and if you just look at how he played, I remember one of his first plays in a game during Summer League, he got the ball in the post. He backed down his opponent. Actually, he was able to get position, which he isn't usually able to do, and he threw the ball up without looking where the ball was. I mean, where the rim was, and it was just like, what are you doing? He doesn't really know how to score in the post yet. He's just a big body that was playing almost bully ball, it seemed like, in Greece.
He's like what, 19?
He is, yeah. He's pretty young.
Yeah, hopefully. I think he'll be. It'll take him a couple of years until he makes any sort of impact. Hopefully, he's still in the league by then. But I don't know. Maybe he'll.
Yeah, I mean, don't you think he's if he was drafted in the 90s, it would be another story. You have the 7-foot guy who's 19 and has a lot of potential, but I don't see his game translating to this day of pace and space basketball, or where you have a big rim protector like Drummond, even though he doesn't post up much.
He's pretty much like a Costa Koufis kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we already have Costa Koufis. That's unless we're trying to trade Costa Koufis off. And essentially, he's the same player. I mean, I would be happy if we get Costa Koufis out of Papagiannis,
Yeah.
And then we could move on from Costa Koufis, having the same player at a cheaper rookie contract, we could trade Costa for something and get more assets. That was somewhat shrewd, but that depends on whether this 19-year-old Greek dinosaur in today's NBA could pan out. I mean, Rob, you told me when the draft happened, we drafted him and we got feedback afterwards. You said that he might not be. You don't think he'll be in the league. Actually, no, you said this during summer league. You don't think he'll be in the league in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick by that. That's a bold prediction, but yeah, I don't see him being in this league for too long. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see the. If you're a big man in today, you got to either spread the floor or be great at rebounding or be like a really good rim protector, and he does none of those things. So I see him out of the league in 5 years. Maybe that's a little bit too soon, but I just don't see him as an NBA player, to be honest. And real quick, you have to hit on your draft picks. Like that's something you have to do, especially with when you had the 8th pick. And I didn't have any issue with the Kings trading that pick for the 13th and 27th pick. But when you have that many a pick that high, it's vital for you to hit on it and at least get a rotation player out of it. And I just think Papagiannis was too much of a risk, and I don't know if you guys think that he could eventually be a rotational player.
Probably not, but I mean, we did get some other decent players. Scal, looks like he can play, or at least has the potential to be a decent rotation player next year. You know, he's a 6. What's his height again?
6'11", I think.
11, right? Skinny, can shoot a little bit. He has like a little bit of everything in him. Not great at anything, but you know, can play some defense, can shoot like some mid-range. You know, pretty athletic. What do you guys see in his potential?
I mean, from the limited summer league action I watched, he was clearly one of our best players, if not the best. And by that line of thinking, Rob, I mean, if we got this guy at 28 and he ends up being a rotational player for us, then that's a great pick, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought Scal at 28th was a great pick for sure. I mean, he's still risky, but yeah, 28th, you can't really go wrong with him there.
Right. So I think people might remember this draft as a failure because of how highly we drafted Papa John's, and that'll never get tiring, by the way, calling him Papa John's. But like if Scal pans out, then that would be a great pick, and I think we should remember him for that. I don't know much about Malachi Richardson, so if either of you guys could talk about him.
Yeah, I mean he's a shooting guard. He played well in the tournament. That kind of raised his draft stock. He's not a consistent shooter yet, but he has the potential to be. He's kind of predictable on offense, where he has this jab step, which he usually steps back for a jump shot. But he looked okay in summer league. He didn't look as good as Scal, but I definitely saw some nice potential there. And defensively, he has some nice tools, but there's definitely still defensive lapses. But overall, I think that was not a bad pick as well. I kind of like that pick at 22.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Scal, though? Oh, no, go ahead, Zaid, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I didn't see Richardson play too much, but I did see a tiny bit where he can play a little bit of defense. He can rebound for a guard pretty well, and hopefully he'll get better a little bit on offense and not be so predictable.
He can't be worse than Marco Bellinelli, right?
He doesn't have he has a higher ceiling than Marco for sure.
Okay. Well, but I mean, I think we could get him to go do pump fakes from 30 feet out, 30 feet from the rim, just like Marco did. So I don't think we'll miss that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, he does pump fake a lot too. Probably not as much as Marco.
No
but,
way, really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But you gotta like the youth. There was one issue I had with Malachi at Summer League, I guess, and it was that he seemed almost disinterested at times. But I could be wrong on that. It just maybe that's just his body type, or like just the way he is. But maybe he was actually engaged. It's kind of hard to tell from the stands.
Mm.
But about Scal, I'm a fan for sure. Like, rebounding is definitely an issue with him. He's not very strong yet, so he wasn't able to get position a lot of the time, which is I think part of the reason Calipari didn't play him that much. And because Calipari didn't play him that much, was one of the big reasons why he fell in the draft because teams, even though they knew what type of player he was, they just didn't see the production. So it's kind of hard to spend a high first round draft pick on a guy where you're not really sure what he could do. But he wasn't a 3-point shooter in college, though I think he did make a lot more in summer league. So that is very
75% 3-point percentage.
Do you know how many he shot by the way?
I can get that to you. Let's take a look here. He averaged 11 points, 6 rebounds, and as far as 3-pointers, he got 3 for 4 overall.
Yeah, so not that much, but still, like that's better than what he did in college in a really short sample size. So the 3-point potential is probably more there than I originally thought, at least. And defensively, he's able to switch onto guards, which is a big bonus. And he is a rim protector. He just needs to get stronger, which will happen over time. And I really like his personality. He came from a really horrific background where he's from Haiti, and his family and him suffered through an earthquake there. So it's good. It's a good story. Yeah, and I'm just really excited to see him play in a Kings uniform.
So from what I saw in Summer League, I want to see guys play through contact because, I mean, there's more fouls in Summer League and you could kind of get away with stuff, but I want to see toughness. And this guy was playing through contact. He was pulling down rebounds. He was showing a pretty varied offensive game. And he was scoring in a variety of ways, and I really like that. So I don't know. I mean, the whole rest of the team stunk so bad, but he was the one shining beacon of hope that I could take away from the couple of games that I saw because he performed pretty well. So I'm definitely excited about this dude, and I think one of the things that I'm excited about the most that Rav touched on was the fact that he could go guard smaller guards out on a pick and roll. That's something like I think if we could harness Scalabissier to be better defensively and have a lineup with Willie Cauley-Stein out there, we could have a pretty versatile defensive team, and that's something to maybe get excited about.
What do you guys think about the other player that was acquired during the draft, Bogdan Bogdanovic from Serbia? He played in the Olympics as well. So did you guys have a chance to watch him play?
The only instance I saw of Bogdan was him missing the final shot against the U.S., which I think would have won them the game or tied.
Yeah,
something like
that.
And he missed, and all I could take away from that is that he's not clutch, so I don't want him.
Oh, come on, man.
No, I've heard a lot about him. I haven't seen him play at all, but like I heard he's a pretty decent, one of the best players in Europe. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of him in the Olympics. I watched the final when they played USA, and he's not afraid to shoot. I saw a couple other games. He can shoot, and he's not afraid to shoot. He's very confident. He can actually get to the rim. He has kind of a good vision a little bit. He can do some passes when he gets to the rim. Still, makes some dumb mistakes here and there, but I think he'll be a good teammate in one more year with Boogie. Hopefully Boogie giving some good passes to Bogdan for the 3, and this time he'll make the game-winning shot.
Yeah, that wasn't a really good game that he had against the U.S. in the finals in the goal game, but he is 24, so he's not super young. Malachi is 20, just as a reference point. But Bogdan is a really good shooter, it seems like, and he's not afraid to shoot, like you said, and he can make the simple pass here and there, though some of his passes can be off target a little bit. Though, I mean, overall, the Kings have been desperate for a shooting guard for a long time, so might as well get as many as you can because one of them is bound to play well for the Kings eventually, I guess.
I'm hearing about this Bogdan. I'm reading about him right now. Apparently, he's described as a cold-blooded assassin. Flat out cold-blooded assassin, has won 3 or 4 buzzer beaters for Fenerbahce, the team he plays for.
Yeah.
That's I'm getting excited, man. When is this guy coming over?
Not this year. Yeah, exactly. Not this year, but the year after.
Do you think he's clutch
We need
now?
him, we need him now. Well, I mean, based on the one shot, no, Zaid. But maybe if I watch some Fenerbahce highlights, I could.
What do you guys think about all of our other signings? We got Aaron Afalo,
Yes.
Garrett Temple,
Yeah.
we got Anthony Tolliver, we got Matt Barnes. I mean, we got the cream of the crop.
Well, the thing about Aaron Aflalo, I guess, is that sometimes he tries to do too much. Like he really did like the triangle because he was able to ISO a lot. But
Post
where
up.
post up. But I find him most effective when he's just playing defense and spotting up for threes. So if he could ISO a lot less, or do it maybe with the second unit and not with Cousins and Gay on the floor, then it won't be that bad. I think it was a good signing, but if he tries to play hero ball a lot, then the Kings might regret that signing.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't, have some of his bad habits he got from when he was playing in New York, and plays, more like he did in Denver, Orlando. But I'm just hoping. I mean, I think he's a good signing. It's only 2 years, 12 and a half each, and I think that he still has a little bit of his defense in him, but we might have gotten him like 3 years late.
Yeah, no, that's true. I agree with that.
You guys are crazy. That was a great signing. For
I
like
thought it was good,
not
not great.
9 million, and Alan Crabb went for 18. I mean, I'll take. I don't know, man. Aaron Aflalo, we have really upgraded our guards. Well, no, actually, our shooting guards this year, mostly because I didn't like Marco at all. But
That's not much. That's not saying much, though.
Zaid, come on, man. Let me be optimistic for a second. Aaron Aflalo, man, he plays. I still saw him play decent defense with the Knicks. I agree with Rob that he was trying to push too much. That's what happens on a bad team, which, I mean, we are, so maybe that's not a good thing. We don't want him to do that. But, I mean, I think we could rein him in and make him a 3-and-D type of player. I think that he's been pretty good in that role for most of his career. If Jaeger could get him to just focus defensively, that's really what we need. We needed better defenders on the perimeter because we were a turnstile last year on the perimeter. I mean, we couldn't defend anybody. I want to get players that could actually stick on someone on the perimeter, and that's why I like this signing a lot. And for the money too. The money's pretty cheap, all things considered, in this market.
Yeah, the players that we got kind of go along with what you were saying. We got Aaron, who has shown that he can play good D. Garrett Temple can play some decent perimeter D. Matt Barnes, I don't know. Sometimes he can, and sometimes he'll get ejected. But we'll see. I don't know. I mean, we did get some defensive-minded, kind of defensive-minded guys, but
I know Zaid appreciates getting Matt Barnes just because he punched Derek Fisher. I know Zaid appreciates that. I think that's what he told me when we signed him. We were like, "Yeah, Derek Fisher, screw the Lakers," something like that.
Yeah. it's good to get a local guy too. Tough guy, doesn't take doesn't let anyone mess with him like Derek Fisher. But
We're gonna see a fight break out, and I'm gonna love to see how Boogie and Barnes interact. And
Oh yeah.
I mean like how they do I don't know. I think we're gonna see Barnes lose his shit at some point this year. I don't know if I can say that, but I just did.
Yeah, I mean, overall, uh, Barnes is kind of old, so this is probably his last signing. Um, but you're right. I mean, I think he's older than that. I think he's like 34 or something like that,
Oh,
36 maybe.
yeah, I saw
Uh,
an interview. He
that's
wants to
pretty
play like
old.
3 more years.
yeah,
He's
he's 30.
36.
He's 36. Yeah.
Wow.
So you have. Oh, I mean, our defense was horrific last year, and so was our three-point shooting. Like nothing's changed over the last 3 years. But theoretically, Temple, Flalo, and Barnes should help in those two areas. So it's for the money that was given out. These guys aren't really that expensive, and they're on short-term contracts. So it's somewhat low risk. But I don't think any of them is going to change the identity of the franchise altogether. That might have to start with the coach down, and then the players might have to follow from him.
Can I ask you guys for just ranking those free agents that we got, who you're most excited about and least excited about? Like just
I have to say I'm most excited for Aaron Aflalo. I mean, that's not saying much just because the 3 other guys we got aren't that great. But I mean, they're like three. They could play some defense, but they're just like they're
not crazy about him, right? Yeah.
they're just right around average or a little bit less than average.
Right.
And but Aaron Aflalo, he's shown that he could be pretty good. I think he had a 30-point game last season with the Knicks. He can still score. He can play defense. So I mean, I'm hoping I could see that out of him. His Denver and Orlando days. Hopefully, I could see that out of him. Least excited about. I'm probably least excited about Anthony Tolliver. I don't know, man. I don't know about his defense, and I mean, maybe he'll stretch the floor with Cousins, make some 3-pointers. But when I watched him in Detroit, I didn't like a lot of. I don't know. He's just not that good with a 3-point shooter. Not a good rebounder. Not a great defender. So I don't know.
He's a decent 3-point shooter. He's 36% for his career. That's around what Caspi is.
Right.
So I mean, more shooting is needed for this team. So it's not too bad.
I would probably agree with Zaid though overall about like the best signing, I guess, or the one I'm most excited about is Aflalo, and the least one is Tolliver. And Tolliver is a good shooter. It's just when you have him, I think you would want to play him at the 4, and it might be tough to play him at the 4 and then Stein at the 5 because then your rebounding suffers. But I guess with him and Cousins, it could possibly work, though. You would rather him play with a rim protector instead of Cousins, but Cousins is still decent enough defensively to maybe play Tolliver at the 4. But the bigger issue is that there's so many 4s on big men on the team that I don't even know if you afford to play him there.
I'll go ahead and say, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said, but I would say that the guy that I'm least excited about is easily Garrett Temple. This is a guy that shoots less than 40% for his career. He's been in the league for like 8 years now. There's really nothing to get excited about this. I'm not sure. I don't think he's. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not exceptional defensively in any way. He's not a good shooter, as I alluded to. He shoots 70% from the line for a guard, which is kind of subpar. I mean, what is he giving us? How are we getting excited about Garrett Temple?
I wouldn't say I'm excited about him either.
Yeah, I mean he's the least. At least Tolliver could get us some more shooting, which I could look forward to that. To him stroking it from deep. Although like you mentioned, we'd have to play him at the 4, and that presents some issues based on who else we have. But I mean, Garrett Temple was the guy that we got when what?
We gave him a longer contract too. He has $8 million for this year and next year, and then an $8 million option in the third year. But the thing is, he did play. He did play well when Beal was injured. I guess so. There's that bright spot.
Yeah, I just like him. My main reason why I like him a little bit more than Tolliver is that he's a little bit versatile. He can play the 1. He played. I haven't checked, but he did play a decent amount of minutes last year for the Wizards. And he can play some decent defense, and he's kind of long a little bit. And I don't know. I think he can play some defense, and that's what I'm hoping for. And that's what the Kings need.
Yeah, that's a good point, Zaid. I mean, he's 6'6", and he seems pretty. He seems like he could guard maybe up to the 3 spot if we need him to. We can guard 1, 2, 3. That's what we need. We need more defensive versatility. So, I feel a little better about him actually. Now,
I guarantee he will be a better defender than Ben Malcolm.
Yeah, Rob, you always know how to dig a knife into my heart and make me feel worse about this team.
Maybe Jaeger can get Ben McLemore to play as well as Mike Malone did. I'm just hoping, because Ben McLemore played decent defense when he was under Malone.
Yeah, for sure.
That was like a 10-game sample size, eh?
It was a small sample size.
But he played good D every single game.
I'll say this though: if Dave Yeager proved in Memphis last year that he gets his players to buy in and play for them, so I am looking forward to seeing. That's one thing the Kings gave up on Carl. It seemed like last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, besides that, the Kings cap situation looks decent. They have about $10 million left in cap room. I think actually more than that. Sorry, this year they have about 10. Next year, how much do they have, Zaid, again?
Next year they should, if Rudy and Matt Barnes do not accept their player options, which is probably what will happen, they'll have about 38 to 40 million cap space. Which Vlade was a lot of his signings, Temple, Follow were 1 to 2 years, and he was trying to, because there's a certain minimum you have to get this year for cap space. You have to spend a certain amount, and a lot of the signings that Vlade was doing was 1 to 2 years to try to have some flexibility next year, and so we will have 40 million. I'm not sure compared to other teams how much, if that's a good number to have, but I mean. That's we can do some damage with that. Not maybe all-star or something like that, but maybe if we're Jaeger shows that we're developing, we're getting close to the playoffs. Just anything can happen. It's good. It's always good to be flexible.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like the Kings have that flexibility going on. But real quick before we leave. I just want to get you guys' opinions on Rudy Gay. I don't know if you guys saw the interview he had with Sacramento Royalty, but it seemed like he was displeased with the organization and that he just really didn't know what was going on. And I feel like he's going to leave after this year. I mean, do you guys feel the same way?
I think the Kings are going to try to trade Rudy during the season. Rudy's a type of player that he'll buy in, or he'll play well for. He's a professional, so he's not gonna he's not gonna let that affect his game. He'll try to play his best still, and I think we can still get something decent for him during the season. That's just what my prediction is.
I'm not really sure what to think about. I mean, the rumors regarding Rudy Gay over the past month have been pretty crazy. Some saying I don't know who's saying he would like to play in Miami. There's the Nets are involved. They want to trade for him. Minnesota's interested in him. I don't know what's going on. I think he will be traded at some point. I didn't see the interview that you're talking about, Rob, but I've wanted to trade Rudy Gay for some time now. Not that he's a bad player or anything, but I feel like we could go in a couple different directions. He's one of the assets that we could give up to get other guys. I mean, obviously I don't want to give up Cousins, so Rudy Gay I would be aggressively shopping him around. There was one rumor that got me so excited in such typical Kings fashion, where something about Eric Bledsoe going the other way, and I just lost it, and that would be a dream scenario. If we were to, oh gosh, I don't know, man. I don't know what it would take. I'd give Kosta Koufis, Ben McLemore, and Rudy Gay for Eric Bledsoe. What do you think? What do you guys think? Would you guys do that?
Say the trade again.
Rudy, Kosta Koufis, Ben McLemore for Eric Bledsoe.
I actually don't even think it would. I don't know. I feel like that's a lot to give up for
a risky player, right? I mean, he's got an injury history, but I would still make that trade because we're the Kings.
Yeah, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I would probably make that trade. I think, it's just kind of what the Kings got to do. We got to go for that risky player, and Rudy's not really gonna take us anywhere too far. Bledsoe can, Kentucky guy, Cousins. We're just gonna get like 13 Kentucky players. Gal, but anyway, I mean, I'm hoping that'll happen. We could probably get something with Bledsoe in that trade, maybe some, second round pick or something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I would do it.
I would probably rather have Bledsoe than Rudy as well. I just wonder how many if the Suns would be interested about him. But real quick, what do you guys think about Dave Yeager as a new coach? I'm a big fan of him, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I think this guy he was actually this coach signing was the most exciting thing for the Kings this summer. I couldn't believe we got him when he was available. Vlade, kudos to him for pulling that off. Really, he's been proven to take some teams with, with Memphis. He did really well with them with the talent that he had and a lot of the injuries, and he gets the best out of his players. Hopefully he can do that with us, but we're the Kings, so it's probably not gonna happen. But I don't know. This guy Yeager is something to be excited about. He's a better version of Michael Malone, in my opinion.
Whoa, better version. Whoa. That's strong words. But Shahin, what do you think?
I was so excited when we got this guy. It was one of the best things that could happen to us. I thought we were going to, I mean, based on who I was hearing about the other coaching candidates that we were trying to get, Mike Woodson, Mark Jackson, Nate McMillan, which I still don't know why Larry Bird went to make Nick McMillan over Frank Vogel. That was perplexing. But for us to get one of the best young coaches in the league, I'm not saying he's like Brad Stevens, but he could be at that level. I mean, he hasn't had that much time in this league to prove his chops, and if he was to take this team and improve them to where everyone has to stop treating us like a laughing stock and take us seriously, then we're gonna. I mean, I feel really good about next year's free agent prospects and all of that. It all comes down this season to how much Dave Yeager could get done. This is going to be really important in terms of everything we've talked about. Free agency next year, guys wanting to come to our team, obviously, I mean the same thing. But Boogie staying, if he really likes Yeager, if he gets a good connection with him, this could really change our franchise. This is the type of signing that could totally change a franchise. Getting a young, bright coach like this who is going to take us back to our strengths. We're going to play like we did under Mike Malone. Defense first, slow down the pace, get Boogie down in the low post, where I mean we had to watch him shoot 73s or make 73s last year under George Karl, and we led the league in pace and scored a ton of points, but we could not get back defensively at all. And I really feel good about the direction that I think he's taking us in. We're going to play like we did on Mike Malone. And honestly, like, I don't know about all that Mike Malone stuff, Zaid, because I really like Mike Malone. And I have no idea why we got rid of him in the first place. But maybe Vivek is he understands that he made a gaffe there. He shouldn't have fired that guy. And we're getting the same type of profile of coach. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Rob, do you think he's like the same kind of like defensive mentality, slow down the pace? I mean, he played with Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, kind of similar to Mike Malone. Am I wrong there, or what do you think?
No, I think that's a fair assessment for sure. So I think he will slow down the pace, and I don't think he's going to have Cousins shooting threes that much compared to Carl for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good things to feel. I feel really good about this. I feel like we're going to get a lot better than we did. I don't know if we'll make the playoffs, but I think it will be a good step in the right direction. And ultimately, the year after, Cousins might be in a good enough spot where, like, this is I feel like this is the ace in the hole. Even if we don't make the playoffs in the next 2 years, if Jaeger really improves the team, and we could all see it, and Cousins sees it, he could stay, and maybe we could make the playoffs within his next contract. I mean, it all starts with Dave Jaeger. I think this is key.
Yeah. No, it does, and I think I was surprised that the Kings were able to get him, to be honest with you, and I was happy that he came here, and it finally seems like the Kings are committed to a coach, and Dave Jaeger just bought a house for over $1 million in the Sacramento area. So
no way. Yes.
Yeah.
Springs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it seems like he's also planning to stay here a long time. And it
seems like he really likes it here.
Yeah, it does. And the number one thing the Kings have been missing out since Vivek took over and prior is stability. And I'm just hoping that he's going to provide that, and I think he will. So that's definitely a bright spot. We have to go, but before we go, real quickly, predictions on how many wins the Kings will get. Zaid, how many wins do you think we're going to win?
Oh, man. I think it's going to be a year, just like Shahin said, where we don't make the playoffs, but we show some improvement, and that improvement is going to be 6 wins. We're getting 36.
How many did we win last year?
30.
I think we do 8 to 10 better. I think we win 38 to 40 games.
Nice. I'm actually going the under for both you guys. I was going to say 35. So we'll see there. I'm a little bit more pessimistic, but it's not because the Kings did not get better. I also think there was addition by subtraction with losing Rondo. So I do think the Kings are a better team, but the West is just so tough. So 35 for me.
Can I say one last thing about Dave Jaeger? The first thing he needs to do, the most important thing, is he needs to develop a good relationship with DeMarcus Cousins the same way Mike Malone did. DeMarcus Cousins was balling out, playing great defense, doing everything we've wanted to see for those 10 games where we had Mike Malone. So, I mean, if we could get back to that, if our best player is playing at that level, then everything else will follow. And I'm cautiously optimistic about the Kings this year, although I say that every year. Maybe we'll do end of season Kings pod where everything goes wrong and we've only won 15 games, but we get the number 1 pick or something. All right, this is Shahin out. Peace, guys.